Welcome to Chandler in Focus. I'm Vice Mayor Jack Sellers, and today we're talking about the Tullamore-Chandler Sister Cities relationship and the many opportunities it brings to our communities. My guests are Ellen Harrington, President of the Tullamore-Chandler Sister Cities Committee, and Lindsay Odil, first-year student ambassador to Tullamore. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's begin by you sharing a little bit about yourselves. Ellen, why don't you start for us?
Ellen Harrington, I'm the first president and only one so far of Chandler-Tullamore Sister Cities. I've been married for 35 years this summer to Pat Harrington, have two wonderful children. I have worked at St. Mary Basha Catholic School as a development director for 12 years and then was at a year at Seton Catholic before that and many jobs before that.
Great.
I'm Lindsay Odil. I'm a student at Christopher Newport University. It's in Virginia. And I'm studying neuroscience with a minor in leadership and computer science. And I'm going to be a senior.
Wow, impressive.
Cool.
So tell us a little bit about Tullamore, Ireland. Ellen?
Tullamore is a wonderful town in the Midlands of Ireland. It sits in County Offaly. It is also the county seat of County Offaly. It's on a direct rail line between Galway and Dublin. It's a stop. It hosts monastic heritage sites of Clonmacnoise and Durrow Abbey. It also boasts of the largest oak in Ireland, the King Oak at Charleville Castle Forest. Also, of course, the home of Tullamore Dew, Irish whiskey, a very fine Irish whiskey. And the Tullamore Dew Heritage Center is always a stop for the tourists and to learn how the whiskey is made. It is recently, the distilling has recently been brought back from Scotland and is taking place just on the outskirts of town. Tullamore also hosts the largest agricultural show in Ireland. My husband took 5 farm families over a couple of years ago to experience the Tullamore show. And we've just had a great time with visiting people there.
Fantastic. And I had the opportunity to visit both the largest oak and the Tullamore Dew distillery. So very nice. Lindsay, what's your perspective of Tullamore?
It's obviously very different from Arizona. Everything's green. The architecture is really cool. To me, like every building was really beautiful, like each different one. One might be modern, whereas the next one's like super old. At one point, it wasn't in Tullamore, but it was outside of Tullamore. We saw a house with like a thatched roof, and that was really cool. So stuff like that. They have like colored doors, just like on all of the doors. Like that was really pretty. I remember we took the girl that I hosted, Aoife, to like the Scottsdale Mall just to show her around, and there was like a red door, and me and my sister were like, oh, that's so cool. And Aoife was kind of like, what? Like, that's normal kind of thing. So that was really cool. It was like really pretty just to like walk around the town.
I know one of the comments they made to me was they said, well, Chandler is a very young city. And I said, well, we're a little over 100 years old. And they said, that's what we said. So, Ellen, tell me a little bit about Sister Cities.
Sister Cities was begun in 1956. President Eisenhower held a White House conference and envisioned a world without war. It was time for peace, for prosperity, and envisioned a citizen diplomacy organization or an environment to work from so that cities could exchange their prosperity, what they might have to offer others. Each sister city has a different look to it, but based mostly on the premises of cultural understanding, economic development, community involvement, which can happen with humanitarian needs and on the part of the sister city, education, economic development. And So, and a lot of those are encompassed in our own mission statement for Chandler-Tullamore Sister Cities. I wanted to share with you a quote from Derek Neighbors of our own Chandler Gangplank, who was in Tullamore in the fall of 2011 to share Gangplank's expertise and best practices. Derek quotes, "We are all just trying to get along in this world. Sometimes we need help and support. Having an extended family abroad is a wonderful thing when it comes to being globally connected. Getting fresh perspectives on culture, placemaking, entrepreneurship, economic development, education, and sports is what is needed to collaborate for the future success of Chandler. Having Tullamore as a sister city is just the start of deep relationships to propel us forward."
Wow, that's really...
I think Derek encompassed both what President Eisenhower envisioned and what we have been striving to do with our relationship.
And during my visit there, we actually went to an innovation place now that is patterned after Gangplank, so it did have an impact. So what is the history of Chandler-Tullamore's twinning? What caused us to establish a sister city relationship with Tullamore?
I've always wanted to be part of a sister city relationship. Several of us in the group, we had been talking about pursuing that possibility. All of us had Irish step dancers with Thomas Bracken of the Bracken School of Irish Dance, who has his home school here in Chandler. And it just came, well, why not Tullamore? Well, why not Tullamore? And so I made a preliminary trip in June of 2007 to see how it might be received on that end. And then we've had some back and forthing. June of 2008, we presented to the City Council that year and got approval. And in February of 2009, we signed the agreement. We had officials from Tullamore over here, and we signed the agreement. We have began our first education exchange in 2011, or 2013, I'm sorry. And we have gained another family from not only Thomas Bracken, but there was also Janet and Tony Cummins, who are natives of Tullamore, who are Chandler residents. And then several years later, we gained Paul and Kara McGowan. Paul owns Chandler Mixed Martial Arts, and he sits on our board now, but also natives of Chandler, or natives of Tullamore and residents of Chandler. We also had 500 engineers from the Irish Intel plant come to Chandler for about a year and a half. And of those, 2 actually were from Tullamore, and we've made fast friends with them. And then several others were from County Offaly, and we keep in touch with them also when we go, and Facebook.
Well, and having those kind of personal connections really helps to get the relationship started. There are many opportunities to learn about the history and the culture of Ireland through educational and cultural diversity programs. What are some of the program areas you've developed over the last few years?
We've had socials and pub quizzes at Coach and Willie's. We've had a genealogy seminar at the Police Conference Center. We've been really blessed to have city and community locations, venues to host our events. We've had 2, we've had a Paint the Blarney Castle evening just recently at Burst of Butterflies. Lori Fagan, a local artist, guided us in Celtic ornament making a couple of years ago. Our real claim to fame, I think, now is the Art and Author Showcase. We've just concluded, but each year Sister Cities International themes a competition for art, essay, poetry, film, and photography. And this is sent out to the various cities. All of the cities in the United States can compete, and their sister cities can also submit. This year's theme was Peace Through People, and I think that was certainly an appropriate theme to have. And we have had 4 years running now national grand prize winners, 2 from Tullamore, 2 from Arizona, or from Chandler schools. They are all $1,000 winners, so we're hoping it goes towards their education, or at least a new notebook or whatever, that it helps them in their education. And so we've been pleased, and Sister Cities International has asked us to host those national art showcases, and they tour the country, spend a month in each city. And so in the month of April, we had the national exhibit here, and we also had, because this past year the grand prize winner was from Tullamore, wow. Her piece was also here. So we're really pleased to have wild success and to showcase our Chandler talent, the Chandler students.
Well, and what you've been doing is so impressive that I'm really anxious for us to spread the word and let more people know about all the really good things that are going on with the programs you're involved with. Lindsay, describe some of the elements of the education program.
I think the biggest element that kind of obviously encompasses all of it is the cultural, obviously, understanding, and also just like a bigger worldview of like the going back and forth between both of the cities and the countries. And I think that's like shown. I was like looking up, I tried to find a really good quote, but there's so many that I couldn't pick one, of experience and travel are like the best teachers, is basically like there's like hundreds of quotes you can find just like kind of reiterating that point.
Well, and I feel that it is so critical for us to have success with a Sister Cities program as we go forward, to involve youth. And they really become better ambassadors than we are. You know, you go to another country and you just want to absorb everything about the culture and the history and everything. And so I can talk about some of the things you learned as an ambassador.
Some of the biggest things I learned, this was probably the biggest take home of being an ambassador, is to definitely try and put your best foot forward in any situation, whether like we met the mayor and town council of Tullamore, but also just like in any like tour that you're in, you know, you don't want to be the like stereotypical annoying tourist that's like, you know, disrespectful and like stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the biggest like take home that I got from it.
Were there any major differences that you experienced, their education system versus ours?
The major difference that I saw, like just talking to the girl that we hosted, so we have to take like SATs, but we can like retake those as many times as we want, basically. They have kind of what I thought was the same kind of thing, that like a leaving cert, which is like one big exam that they have to take before they go off to college, but they can't retake it.
Wow.
And it kind of like determines where they can go from there, whereas like we can just like retake it and like go to whatever school you want. So
well, that would be a lot more difficult, because I would think if you took it knowing that you could take it again, you'd be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I know some people that took it like 5 or 6 times.
And this is part of when we go to choose students in the future, that we watch that we don't have our students go into homes that either have a Leaving Cert student or a student in the family that is taking their Leaving Certs. This determines, it's a series of tests at the end of their senior year, but it determines whether or not they can even go to university. Mm-hmm. So this determines their lives, and it's a huge stress, the students certainly, and the families. So this is one obstacle, if you wish to look for.
So Lindsay, were there any particular challenges in being in a totally different education system?
I wish we could have seen the classrooms like day to day. When they came here, they got to sit in on some of our classrooms, okay. But when we went, it was summertime, so we didn't get to see the actual classroom. But to me, it seems pretty similar, like classroom-wise.
Okay.
from what she told me.
So what are the highlights then from your visit?
Oh gosh, we did so much stuff. We went all over the place. I think, like, out of all the places we went, I think my favorite was probably Galway. That was really fascinating, like, because there was also a bunch of other tourists besides us. Like, we weren't the only tourists.
Okay.
And then the different castles. We went to Birr Castle, and then we also went to Charleville Castle, which is like in Tullamore. And that was like right next door to the people that hosted me. That was kind of creepy. But I think my favorite part was like being able to just like walk through the town. Like, I don't really do that here. Like, it's not something you can just like walk down the street and stuff like that. So that was really fun. Me and my the girl that hosted me, Aoife, we would walk down and just like go to the coffee shop and like drink some coffee and then like walk back. And we would go to this gas station and get this like candy called Straubs, which are like sour, like strawberry jelly candies. So that was fun. And we would just chat.
And what about when the students from Tullamore visited here? Did you get involved with that, and were there any particular problems for them?
I don't know if there was any problems per se. I know it was like really packed, and like we went to the Grand Canyon, which was like a 4-hour bus ride, and like I know for me, like coming back, when we got back, like laying in bed, I still felt like I was rocking from the bus. But they came to our school, which was fun, and I think they really liked to interact with other students. They had like groups of students just surrounding them all the time of like asking them questions. I think they liked that,
Wow.
all the attention. But then some days like we would be in school and they went to like the mall one day and like they'd have fun days. So.
Okay. I've noticed that there's an increased realization that the relationships established through sister cities is an important component in future economic development opportunities. And certainly it was a topic at the International Sister Cities Conference in Dublin that I attended, and at our state conference this past weekend. And it's also talked about at Arizona Town Hall that I was part of, and the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, International Relations Council are all talking about the importance of these relationships. I know that our sister city, like most, was formed because of personal relationships.
Correct.
Talk a little bit about your feelings about this direction for sister cities and what steps could help support these efforts.
As on a people-to-people basis,
Yes.
or okay, and that's my passion, is the people. I will leave the economic development to the city of Chandler and the chamber to pursue those new exercises. I think I think the sharing of best practices is key. When we talked in Tullamore in 2015, when we took a delegation of 13, their board members and citizens, and we talked over various ideas of how to do what exchanges are next for us, and a lot centered around best practices. So city departments, chamber, I think are going to be key for that. On the people-to-people basis, I think just still friend raising is very important, and we're always meeting new friends. We're always getting in encounters with people here in Chandler. Oh, we have a sister city, and
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we need to improve on that communication.
Okay. Well, and I feel that our Chamber of Commerce could play a key role in support of these efforts. That's why I asked the Chamber to have a person go along to the conference in Dublin. I know that you visited Tullamore several times.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about some of the highlights of your visits there.
Oh, we've each time has been magic. I was stuck there once for 40 days. We had the Tullamore show at the front end of August of 2014, and didn't leave for another 40 days. And thank goodness we had friends over there that we could stay with. But it was just a magic trip. I got to sit on my 1,000-year-old stone wall and watch sheep graze. That's a bucket list, and I'm able to check that one off now. Just sitting and sharing tea and scones with the locals, discussing other programs that we could do on the people-to-people basis, artist-to-artist, dance schools, sports. I think it's limitless to the kinds of exchanges that we can have. 2015, the Tullamore Committee and the Town Council just treated us royally, and they hired a bus for us and took us around, pretty similar to the trip that Lindsay in that first year had. My husband and I accompanied them on that trip also, but to see all the sites of the county and Tullamore specific. I heard that you had a very fabulous ride on the Tullamore River and approached the monastic site, Clonmacnoise, from the river, and it must have been beautiful.
Well, and my visit was just really incredible. I found the people in Ireland to be some of the friendliest people I've ever met. One of the things that I did come away with, and that I've experienced with other sister cities that I've been involved with, is the importance of having elected officials from your city involved. Yes. Because when you visit these other sister cities, they typically always have a lot of elected officials involved, and it does make a difference for us. So I was happy that I was able to do that this year.
And thank you very much. That was a piece missing for us. Most of the sister cities, they do operate. We're 501c3 nonprofits for the most part, but also do not exist as a sister city entity without the local government assistance. And so it's truly a great partnership to have.
And we did visit a lot of businesses, found many are interested in working with us on future endeavors. We also communicated with the Chandler businesses that have Ireland connections and ensured they knew we were looking for ways to assist them with whatever their international efforts are. All in all, it was really an amazing, worthwhile trip. And I'll move from that a little bit to a discussion about another sister city that we're talking about forming now with Tainan, Taiwan. I went with our Chandler National Little League team to Tainan last October. And while we were there, the mayor of Tainan asked us to form a sister city relationship with them. And I was very pleased that he asked us to do that, and I assured him that I would do everything I could to make that happen. We have several people who live in Chandler that are from Taiwan, and many business connections with that country as well. So we're really working hard to make that relationship happen. But I also feel that it'll strengthen our overall Sister Cities program in Chandler by getting more people involved, because the people that get involved because of Tainan will also then find out about Tullamore, and the people from Tullamore will find out about Tainan. And I think the whole program can become much more meaningful and grow because of that.
Right.
Your thoughts about any of that?
Absolutely. And just to go back to the Student Ambassador Program, you bring in another sister city, and then you have sharing of a United States sister city, a Tainan sister city, and an Irish sister city, that these children can all share their experience. You come from your background with Mesa sister cities, and how many is Mesa now? 9?
5.
Oh, 5.
Yeah, they have
And to look at all of those students that come in, we will pattern our next ambassador program a lot like the leaders in the Valley, Tempe, Phoenix, Gilbert, that have been Mesa, that have been 20 plus years in doing student ambassador programs. And I think the future of the Sister Cities programs are going to be those student ambassadors as they grow, as we keep them connected to our sister city and what's happening. I think it's very important.
And that was one of the great things about our trip to Tainan, is we took 15 12-year-old boys from Chandler National Little League, and it was amazing. I explained to them before we went that from my vantage point, their job was to be ambassadors, and I could not have asked for a better better group of ambassadors to go to that city with us. And I think that had a lot to do with the mayor wanting us to become a sister city with them.
Right.
And I'm sure that they established relationships there that will last a long time.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a number of delegations from Tullamore come here. Anything significant that you'd like to talk about from those?
Well, we hear things. You probably know more than I do at this point. I know that Derek Neighbors from Gangplank, when he was there, met with Design Hub and that group, and that also helped jumpstart their own innovations. Not sure, do we have more news on any transactions taking place?
Nothing yet, but
Okay.
a number of things that we're working with.
Good, good.
Yeah. Lindsay, your family hosted a Tullamore student who visited Chandler. Talk about that experience.
At first it was really awkward. You have like a person coming to stay with you and like they don't know you. We didn't really talk beforehand. I just learned her name like at the airport and I didn't know how to pronounce it. So I asked Mr. McGowan how to pronounce it because it's spelled so differently than like our names. And then at first, like when we went with a bunch of groups to like the Grand Canyon and stuff, it was like the Arizona group plus the big Irish group. It's so easy to just like stay with your friends, so we kind of didn't really hang out as much right then. But then like at nighttime, like right before going to sleep, we would chat a bit and like she'd hang out with my family and stuff. And after like the first or a couple nights and stuff, we realized we're pretty much the same person. And we call each other like, twins. She calls me her American twin, and I call her my Irish twin. So, yeah.
Well, we're almost out of time. Ellen, is there anything else you'd like to share? Do you want to tell people how they can learn more about our Sister Cities program here in Chandler?
We'd love for them to visit our website, www.chandlerirish.org. We are very grateful to past and present mayors, council members for their continued support for our program. Especially grateful to Leah Powell and the Community Resources and Diversity Management Office for overseeing our program. We just look forward to sharing Chandler's exploration of future sister cities.
You also have a Facebook site that people can visit?
We do. I think you can just type in Chandler Irish and you'll find us.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, it was a pleasure having both of you on the show. Thank you for watching Chandler in Focus. I'm Vice Mayor Jack Sellers, and we'll see you next time.